Okay, this is Mrs. Robertson, and this is our Math 7 class, our last lesson, new lesson for the second 9 weeks. Chapter 2, Lesson 8, Financial Literacy. And today we're going to talk about finding simple interest. And this starts on page 167. We're going to begin this lesson by watching the video clip that goes along with this lesson. Okay, principal. This is not the person who runs your school. There's another definition for it. Principal is the amount of money deposited or borrowed. Simple interest is the amount paid or earned for the use of money. Okay, so this is where if you have a bank account or a savings account in a bank and you put money in, you are earning interest on your money. That's a good thing. Another type another instance where you need to know about interest is when you borrow money. Most people, when they buy a new car, they have to borrow money. You have to pay more than how much the car costs. When you borrow money from the bank, you have to pay back the bank how much money you borrowed along with your interest rate. So if you borrow $30,000 for a car, you probably will end up paying $38,000 for the car. The bank will charge you about $8,000 for you to use their $30,000. The same thing is true for when you buy a house. You will end up sometimes, if you buy a house for $300,000, you will probably end up paying $100,000 in interest for that house. So instead of paying back the bank $300,000 for your house, you will end up paying them $400,000. It depends on how long your loan is for. Now, if your loan is for a short amount of time, you don't have to pay them back as much money. But if you take 30 years to pay them back for your house, you're going to end up paying a lot of money to the bank. And we're going to talk about how the formula works for this. Today, we're only dealing with the simple interest formula. We're not going to do anything more complicated. Okay, now we need to talk about what these words mean. This is the formula. I stands for interest. So write the word interest by this one. P is principal. R is rate. And T represents time. How long are you going to have to pay this money back? The longer you have, the more money you will have to pay back to them. They're going to charge you more for borrowing money. Yes?
Principal should have gone in the bottom left one.
What was your question? Principal? Yeah, oh, you're right. I thought, I'm just going to change this. Move this arrow there and move that arrow so it goes to the R. There, we have it fixed. Okay, so the principal goes to the P. It's hard for my eyes, and I didn't see that all the way there, so part of the reason why I'm going to the eye doctor again tomorrow. And this is your rate. Okay, thanks for pointing that out. Everyone got that fixed? Okay, now, Mrs. Ramirez is investing $400 in a savings account at a simple interest rate of 2% to purchase a laptop computer. She plans on investing the money for 18 months. Based on the real-world situation, fill in the blanks with the correct numbers. Write the rate as a decimal. Time is expressed in years. Okay, so in this problem, what is she investing? This is your principal, $400. Put a 400. The rate, we need to change your percent to a decimal. What does 2% equal as a decimal?
0.02.
Right, 0.02 or just 0.02. And the time is 18 over 12, which equals 1.5 years, or let's keep it as a decimal, 1.5. Because you will be allowed on the test to use a calculator, but you have to have every formula written down, or your equations written down, so I know what you're multiplying in your calculator, okay? Now let's turn to page 168. Simple interest formula. It says the simple interest I is the product of the principal, the annual interest rate, and the time expressed in years. So to figure out your interest, you take principal times rate times time. Now let's look at the examples here. In number 1, Arnold puts $580 into a savings account. The account pays 3% simple interest. How much interest will he earn in each amount of time? Okay, so if he puts $580 in at 3% for 5 years, he's going to make $87. So at the end of 5 years, instead of having $580, it's going to be 580 plus 87. So the amount of money he's going to have in his account will be $667. See that? He starts with 580. His interest is $87 at the end of 5 years. So at the end of 5 years, he has $667. Make sure you include this on your paper. Yes.
My mom and dad said if I had saved all of my money since I was a kid, by the time I was like 40 or 35 or somewhere around there, you would have like $1 million.
If they have it in a good investment group, yes. Yeah. And a group that's knows how to invest your money, yes, you can make a lot of money. And that's a long time. 40 years from when you were a baby is a long time. But yeah, you can put it into different investment funds and you will make a lot of money. Now let's look at number 2. How much money will he make in 6 months? All right. 6 months is a half a year. So you're going to write it as 0.5. So they take 580 times 3%, which is 0.03, times 0.5. So in 6 months, he's made $8.70. So how much does he have in his account after 6 months? Let's write it down. 580 plus 8.7. He has $588.70 in his account at the end of 6 months. Any questions? All right. Now I want you to do A and B. You can show your work for A up here, and then you can do B under B. So write everything down. Yes, you can use a calculator. For example, A, he should have $117 for interest. So let's figure out what's the total amount she has in her account. How much did she put in there? 1,560 plus my interest means she now has in her account $1,677 in her account after 3 years. Okay, now let's look at example B. Marco invests $760 into a savings account. It pays 4% simple interest. How much interest will he earn after 5 years? Interest equals 760 times 0.04 times 5. When you multiply that out, you will get did you get $152? So your interest is $152. So after 5 years, the account 760 plus 152 now has $912 in it. Any questions? All right. Yes.
On the answer plate, where they put 152.
That's the question that it asked, yes, but then I went ahead and asked one more question because I think on the test they have you on some of the questions. It's either on the benchmark or on the Chapter 2 test they ask for how much is in the account.
So we'll put on the answer plate 900 and
On this one, you just have to have 152 on answer blank B, okay?
what test the other has.
On the test they go into more detail. Now, interest on loans and credit cards. Now, credit cards, kids, charge a high amount of interest, especially if you don't pay it off in time.
Credit card debt.
It's called credit card debt, and that's what really affects a lot of young people because they get these credit cards when they go to college, and they put a whole lot of money on the credit card. They charge things, and they don't have jobs. So are they able to pay it off if their parents aren't paying it? Usually not. And then that debt builds. And then by the time when you graduate in 4 years from college, you have a whole lot of money you have to pay back. And that is not fun because you're going to start working and you're so excited. You graduate from college, you get these good jobs, and then you have to pay your credit card debt, or another thing's called student loan. So if you have to pay money to go to college, you have to get a student loan. And the student loans are very expensive. You don't have to pay for them when you're in college, but then as soon as you get out of college, you have to start paying the money back. And that's just sort of a bummer. Whenever you get out of college, you get your job, you want to get a new car, you've got your car loan, you have to pay back your student loans, you want to get an apartment, you want to get some furniture, you borrow, and then you're all of a sudden you're paying on loan money, and that doesn't even go to the stuff that you bought. It's just the money you have to pay to the bank because they let you borrow money. And you don't want that to happen. So you're going to be wise investors with your finances so you don't have to borrow money. Sometimes you have to, and it's okay. But you want to be careful. You don't want to borrow more than what you can pay back, because then it can cause you to go into financial problems. Yes.
My mom, she was really irresponsible with credit cards, and my grandma really warned my mom a lot about credit cards and
How they can affect you, yes.
She didn't really listen, and she just paid off her credit card debt last week.
See, and she feels really good about it, but she probably wishes she never took that out.
She's 40 years old now.
Yeah, well, I have credit cards, but I usually have plans. I'm going to pay it back as soon as the bill comes in. Or if I know I'm behind one paycheck, I need one more paycheck to pay it off, I know ahead of time how much I have to pay so I can have it all paid off by a certain amount of time so it doesn't keep on getting bigger. Because every month they'll charge you more interest on your money. So then you have to pay back more, and that is not fun. Yes.
My parents have been out of college for like almost 20 years now, and they still have like $20,000
On their college debt, yeah. That's just one of those things. They tell you, oh, take out this loan as you go to college, and then it takes a long time. You want to get some scholarships, good scholarships, so you don't have to have loans, because it does cost a lot of money to do that. Yes.
My mom just told me not to get a credit card. She
There
said
you go.
Get a debit card. What's the
Yeah.
difference?
The debit card takes money straight out of your account. So you have a savings account, it takes the money out of your savings account, so you're not charged any interest. Then you don't have money in your account, but you know that you're not going to be charged interest because you're spending.
Because I have a Chase debit card.
Okay. Charlotte.
I have a debit card, but I barely use it.
That's right, but it's a good thing to start learning what it's about and how to use it, and be very careful. Don't let anyone know your codes, or that you don't want to lose it. I would not suggest you bring it to school. Don't charge your school lunch on your debit card. Yes.
So my dad got a job at Marion University,
Yes.
and if he still works there when I go to college, I get to go there for free.
That's right. A lot of times if your parents work for a university, it comes in very handy because they don't have to pay the tuition, which is very expensive when you're going to different colleges. Yeah.
So my mom, her mom and dad, like my grandpa and grandma, like got in a divorce. So she got like a whole free college.
That was nice. So she didn't have to pay for
It
hers.
was like something because like they got divorced.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was called.
Well, there are all different types of financial things that people can set up and stuff. Now, let's focus on example 3 so we can keep moving along. 3, 2, and 1. Rondell's parents borrow $6,300 from the bank for a new car. We all know that new cars cost more than that now. The interest rate is 6% per year. How much simple interest will they pay if they take 2 years to repay the loan? Now, kids, most car loans are compound interest. They're not simple interest. Just to make you aware, this is just a simple interest. So, they have $6,300 times 0.06 times 2. So they're going to pay the bank another $756. So it says Rondell's parents will pay $756 in interest in 2 years. So let's figure out how much money will they pay back for that car. Let's do this together. $6,300 for the loan, which they must have had a good down payment because this is just a tiny bit of that car, plus $756. Right, hey, why are you not writing this down in your book? So when we add that together, instead of $6,300, they're going to pay back to the bank $7,056. All right? Now, that's really not too bad in 2 years, but most people it takes them longer than 2 years to pay back for what they borrow. Number 4, Derek's dad bought new tires for $900 using a credit card. His card has an interest rate of 19%. Kids, you always want to look to see what the interest rate the bank is charging. 19% is a lot, but a lot of the cards are high percentages. If he uses no other charges on his card and does not make a payment, how much money will he owe after 1 month? Okay, so you have 900 times 0.19 times 1/12. Where did the 1/12 come from? It's 1 month. It's the fraction of a year. Okay, 1 month is 1/12. So, you multiply, divide it by 12, $14.25. So after the first month, if they don't pay anything back, they now are going to owe $914.25. Now, let's say they don't pay it again. Watch what happens after month 2. Let's go over here. Take $914.25 times 0.19 times 1/12. Now this is just one more month. And it takes each month, whenever it goes up, it takes that new amount. So it's going to go up. Let's just see how much it goes up. $914.25 times 0.19 divided by 12. They're going to pay another $14.48. So now it's $914.25 plus $14.48. That $900 in 2 months, they are going to be paying $928.73. In 2 months, they're paying $28.73 for borrowing that money. Okay? So you just want to be aware of that. Right now, I want you to do problems C and D. In letter C, you're going to take 1,400 times 0.055 times 8/12. Now 8/12, will simplify to 2/3. Okay? And when you multiply this, take it times 2, divide it by 3, you get $51.33. In letter D, an office charged $425 worth of office supplies on a credit card. The credit card has an interest rate of 9.9%. So 425 times 0.099, how much money will he owe at the end of 1 month? Times 1/12 if he makes no charges on the credit card besides that. You take 425 times 0.099, divide it by 12, and you're going to get 428.51. Any
Divided by
questions?
12?
Because when you multiply by 1/12, you divide by 12.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Wait, what? How did I...
If you put those all over 1, when you multiply fractions, you multiply
Oh, yeah.
over 12, and then just divide by 12. Now, example number 5. Lucius is taking out a car loan for $5,000. Lewis. Lucius, it's Lewis, that's right. He plans on paying off the car loan in 2 years. At the end of 2 years, Lewis will have paid $300 in interest. Ooh, this is a missing one in the middle. This is a little harder.
It's $150.
What is the simple interest rate on the car loan? All right, so our principal is $5,000. We know the year is 2, and the interest is $300. You have to find the R. See that? So you take 5,000 times 2, that gives you the 10,000 R. Do you see that? Now, you have to divide both sides by 10,000. 300 divided by 10,000 gives you the decimal point, 0.03. Then, you change your decimal to a percent, and the answer is 3%. Now, I want you to do letter E. Okay. She will have paid her interest. So, the interest formula, let's do it over here. Interest equals principal times rate times time. What's the interest? 390. Under the I, put 390. What's the principal? 2,600. Three years. We don't know the rate. The rate is missing, but we know she's going to pay it off in 3 years. Now we're going to simplify our equation. 390 equals 3 times 2,600 times R. Now, what do I have to do to figure out what my rate is? Divide both sides by 7,800. Then, in the calculator, now find 390 divided by 7,800 gives you 0.05 equals your rate. What's my percent? Yes, 5%. Okay, now, due to the many interruptions that we've had today, I don't think I'm going to have time to give you back your quizzes.
Can we just do homework?
This is what you're going to do. On page 171, Your assignment is going to be 1 to 9.
Okay.
Show your work.